I don't think that I should stay. You know I better go. Been moving too fast. Don't wanna take it slow. Got the club going up on a Tuesday. Got your girl in the cut and she Tuesday. Club going up on a Tuesday. Got your girl in the cut and she Tuesday. Club going up on a Tuesday. Got your girl in the cut and she Tuesday. Club going up on a Tuesday. Got your girl and she Tuesday. Club going up.
Good afternoon, good evening, ladies and gentlemen. You're now tuned in to KJ Live. This is Chris Johnson. Today's guest on the show was inducted into the UCLA Athletics Hall of Fame 2013. She's one of the very best women's basketball players in our school's history. She serves as an assistant coach as well at her alma mater and is currently a college basketball analyst for the Pac-12. Ladies and gentlemen, Chris Johnson Live is very proud to welcome Maylana Martin to the show. What's happening, May?
Hey, how's it going, Chris?
It's going good. How are you?
You know, I'm hanging in there, just living this mom slash COVID slash teacher slash working person life. So
Yeah, let's talk about that. I mean, I just kind of want to jump in on that. One of the themes of my show is, I've been asking everyone from, former players to current players to administrators about COVID and how it's affected them in their life. Just talk about how it's affected you and, your life, your everyday life, your family.
well, I feel like we haven't left the house in like a year. Not really. I mean, we've gotten a little bit more out now that basketball's gotten going. But the kids, I mean, they've been doing the distance learning thing. So I've got a 12-year-old who's in 6th grade, two 10-year-olds that are in 4th grade, and a 7-year-old. So I think I have my master's in elementary education at this point. But we're fortunate to be able to work from home, so that's
Yeah.
good.
Yeah.
There's a lot of people who lost their jobs during this time, so
Yeah.
you kind of count your blessings there. But it has been nice that basketball's been getting started. We have places to go in the evening with the kids, and that's made a big difference, I think, in our overall sanity. So.
Sure. Did you work some games this year? Were you on site and stuff, or did you do things at home, or how did that work out for the
All the
broadcast?
games were on site. So
Okay.
I did all of them were UCLA or USC. So they tried
Okay.
to keep people locally so you didn't have to fly.
Right.
But it was a little bit weird, like masks on the whole time, no fans in the stands.
Plexiglass in between you guys, or no?
No far away. So
Okay.
so social distancing, and then the open and stuff was a little bit weird. We were kind of staggered. One time we had to look like a cross poly pavilion. The camera was like way over there, so you just have to kind of imagine that everyone's
Yeah.
right in front of you. But I'm just glad that they were able to play. Last year was such a shock when you go through this super fun Pac-12 tournament. We brought the kids, and then everything just shut down. There wasn't even a March Madness, so I'm
Yeah.
just glad they were able to have a season.
Yeah, talk about the UCLA women's basketball team this season and their performance on the court.
Yeah, I mean, they had a fantastic year. They were ranked, I want to say, in the top 15 all season. Finished really, really strong. I think that, that game against Texas was a little tough. I think, Lauren Miller going down with that knee injury toward the end of the game was hard. But, they fought hard. They had, some big wins throughout the year, and I'm just, proud of them. They didn't have a lot of players. They only had like 7 or 8 that were like scholarship, like players that were contributing. They even had not even a freshman, a senior in high school that finished early.
Oh, right.
That came in and played some minutes for them. So that was really cool to see. She just, fearless, jumped in there. Didn't really get a chance to know the offense completely, but it was cool to see her, do her thing. So.
And you had a very successful career at UCLA. You came in doing work. I remembered, but then I went back and looked at your stats, and I see what you accomplished, and that's a lot to be proud of. Over 2,100 2,101 on the point side of things. But I something jumped out at me. Okay, just let me humor me on this. Your junior year, you had an actual 3-point percentage. Every other year, you didn't have anything on the 3 side. What was up with your junior year?
I mean, well, I don't know. Maybe I just like jumped out there and shot some threes. I think we had a play that KO called Never
Okay.
because she like never ran it, and it involved the post player like popping out and shooting a three. And so
Nice.
Never kind of turned into Sometimes. And
Mm-hmm.
so maybe sometimes we ran it more in my junior year than my senior year.
And you
Senior
catch
year
them
we
sleeping.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Senior year we did have some more guards. So maybe
Okay.
they were shooting the threes and I
Yeah, I noticed that. I noticed it seems like you took a little sacrifice on the numbers, playing a little bit more, moving the thing a little more. I could tell. I was just looking at the numbers. Is that an accurate assessment?
you know, I would not call myself a 3-point shooter by any means. There was a time though, statistically, that I
Yeah.
led the WNBA in 3-point shooting percentage.
Okay.
I was 4 for 5.
Okay. Hey, I'll take
Yeah.
it. You got to take that. That
Yeah,
that counts too.
it counted.
Why did you decide to attend? You went to Paris High School, correct?
Yeah.
Why? What other schools were recruiting you, and why did you decide to attend UCLA ultimately?
A lot of schools were recruiting me, but the ones that it really came down to were Stanford, and Colorado. That's where I took my visit. Stanford,
Hmm.
Colorado, and UCLA. USC was in there actually for a long time. It was
Okay.
when Cheryl Miller was the coach. So
Oh
Cheryl
wow.
Miller's from my,
Yeah.
my area, and so I
Sure.
always looked up to her. Had a great relationship with her. But
Sure.
my junior year, she left and went to TNT,
Okay.
and so I was like kind of done, which is probably good.
It worked out.
UCLA worked out.
Yeah.
Stanford was a tough one. That was like my other one that I was really, leaning toward.
Hmm.
Kind of the tipping point there was I had a great relationship with Kathy Olivier, the head coach at the time at UCLA.
Okay.
And then also I wanted to build something. I felt like Stanford, they were always on top with the Pac-10 at the time, and they had won a national championship fairly recently. It was like 92, I think,
Yeah.
and this was like 95. So I wanted to, build something at UCLA. And, I just felt, I think, more at home in Southern California than up in the Bay Area. So
Sure. What do you remember most about that time of UCLA, the mid 90s, 96, 97, 98? What do you remember most about that era of just college basketball, everything?
I think it's just an era of ballers, like
Yeah.
top to bottom, right? Like you guys, coming off of that 95 team. And then even so, like I started out my college career with you guys,
Yeah.
and then I finished my college career with Baron Earl, like
Yeah.
all them. So,
Yeah.
it was just the basketball was on top. We were beating USC all the time. It was like Cade McNown on the football side. And then
Oh yeah.
even softball, we had Stacey Newman, like
Oh
just
yeah.
crushing it
Dominant.
out there.
Oh yeah. Stacey.
Yeah.
That's right.
Yep. So it was, just UCLA was just on top in like every sport. And it was just super fun time.
When did you know that you wanted to be a basketball player? At what age did you decide to take it seriously?
Well, I started in the 4th grade.
Okay.
My parents are not super into athletics, so I had a flyer at school, came home, told my mom, "Hey, I want to do this." She was like, "Okay." So she signed me up. And then first game, like first shot almost, it went in, and it was like just like a fish to water. Like I loved it. It was
Yeah.
super fun. And back then you didn't have like you played your basketball season and then you went on to your next sport. Like you
Yeah.
didn't like specialize like we do now.
Yeah.
So I think it wasn't probably until maybe 8th grade when I really started taking it seriously. I got with my high school coach, at the time, like end of my 8th grade year, and he really started coaching me up, teaching me post moves,
Okay.
that sort of thing. So that was when I really, was like, okay, hey, I can, go somewhere with this sport.
Yeah. Let's fast forward to draft night. What was it, 2000?
Yep, 2000.
When you heard your name called, well, describe your emotions.
Just, I guess, I don't know, disbelief, I think, because, the league hadn't been around that long. The WNBA started in 98, and I was
That's right.
drafted in 2000. So, and the class that I came in with, the ABL had just folded. So there was a lot of veterans also in my class. So it wasn't just all us college people. You didn't really know who was going to get drafted,
Was Natalie Williams in that draft?
Natalie Williams, I think, was part of the expansion draft, maybe.
Okay.
So she
Okay.
was like probably placed on a team, I would
Okay.
imagine,
Yeah.
because she
Yeah.
was
Yeah.
pretty big time at the time.
Yeah. I'll say.
Yeah. So, but yeah, just, disbelief, just thankfulness, just feeling like this is just the first step in another journey. I'm going to have to really work hard and, live up to the expectations. But it was fun just soaking in, my parents being there,
Yeah.
and, holding up that jersey. It was just kind of surreal.
Yeah. About at what time, or describe the moment that you decided that it was time for you to walk away from the game, the professional game, and move on to something else?
I think so. I had back surgery between my junior and senior year in college. And so after that, it was just harder and harder to, like, I believe it or not, I used to be able to dunk.
I believe it.
And after the surgery, my hops weren't as good. My reaction weren't as I think you had back issues too, didn't
I had
you?
major back issues.
Yeah,
Never
so
surgery. I was always scared of surgery. So what did you have? L for 4? L5?
L4, L5, L5S1.
Yep.
Yeah.
See,
So,
I got the S1 issue too today. It's
yeah.
like, oh my gosh. But
Yeah. So it helped with kind of the sciatic pain, but it's still, I never could adjust super well to that next level, and just the grueling schedule. In WNBA, you play a lot of games. Sometimes you're playing like back to back. You're flying in that day, playing that night. And so I had left Charlotte, and I was kind of on my way. I was going to try and do it again with the Sparks. I was getting ready to go to Sparks training camp, and I just was like, I just can't do it. Like my back is just killing me all the time, and it's time to start that next chapter of my life. So I tried to get back, and I got into graduate school and started getting into coaching.
Okay. And then so you went into graduate school, and you finished up with graduate school, and then you decided to go, you started at Portland, is that correct?
Yeah, so Portland had the opportunity as a grad assistant.
Okay.
So I went there. I was thinking, because of the back injuries, I was like always interested in physical therapy,
Right.
but they didn't have a physical therapy program. So I was like, well, business, that's pretty good. So they had an MBA program. So I did my first year there, and then a spot at UCLA opened up. And I came down, and I could transfer all my credits to LMU. So that was nice. So I was able to finish up. It took me 2 years after that point, because I wasn't like a full-time student.
Sure.
But it was a good benefit, able to coach and then just drive down and take classes at LMU in the evening. So it was fun.
What was it like returning home to your alma mater as a coach? I've always wondered what that feeling was like. I always admire all of you guys and girls that have been able to do that played and then come home and coach. What's that like?
It's great, and it's tough all at the same time.
I can imagine.
Yeah. So it's super fun to have, they're in the same locker room that you used to be in. They're wearing the same uniforms. The expectations are there. And when you're younger and you just finished, they have a different level of respect for you, right?
Oh yeah.
The part that's tough though is we lost to SC a couple times, and I would be so mad. And then I almost felt like I was madder than they were that we had lost. And that's when it gets hard, because the frustration of, man, I wish I could go out there and, and just I hate losing to these guys. And so that's where I think it's hard, is because you're seeing, it's not just you lost, it's like your team lost too. So that's where it gets tough.
Yeah. From when you were a coach in 2004 to now, as an analyst, being on both sides of it, just talk about the evolution, or just describe the state of the women's game, college basketball game, from when you first were a coach until now as an analyst.
Yeah, well, I mean, the athleticism just continues to get better and better, and it's super fun. And then I look now at some of the stuff that they're teaching kids now. I didn't have a Euro step. I was out in the backyard. My 10-year-old has a Euro step. I'm like, what is this Euro step that they're teaching you? Yeah, but it is fun. It makes the women's game that much more exciting, because, before you had to really be a fan of basketball to really appreciate the women's game. I know John Wooden loved it. he
Yeah.
loved watching the women's game because we're so fundamentally sound, and you have to set, those picks, and, you
Yeah.
don't have the athleticism to bail you out as
Yeah.
much. But now it's really getting to that point where, I mean, people dunk in games when they get
Yeah.
breakaways, like Fran Believe from
Oh, yeah.
Stanford. She's
Oh,
just
yeah.
like,
She stretches out with it too, like easy to worthy, like, oh wow. I'm like, what is going on?
Yep. So I just think all of that is great for the game,
Yeah.
because I think there's a time now, there's so much interest in just women's sports. There's like a big giant spotlight. I think, Kobe Bryant had a lot to do with that, super appreciative of his just commitment to the women's game. And he just, kind of made it like okay and cool to watch women's basketball.
Sure.
And I think the players and the game has kind of lived up to that expectation because it is more fun. There are like really cool highlights that you can see now, even if it's not always dunks. The game itself, the skill level has risen dramatically since when I was a coach.
Oh, absolutely. I was on a show for doing Final Four pregame coverage with Baron Davis and Earl Watson over at Baron Slick Studios over in LA. And we had Michaela Onyenwere.
Yeah.
She was on the show with us. And great, unbelievable, classy young lady, just, big time as they come. We were talking about just her season and Coach Close and how she empowered the young ladies to use their platform. They had a student athlete advocacy group called More Than a Dream, I believe was the name. And so what I wanted to get your sort of standpoint on or view on is that we came from a generation where that necessarily wasn't empowered as much. This is a new generation now. They have a different type of voice. It's okay to say certain things. Do you think that more student athlete led coalitions like the one at UCLA should be prevalent in women's college basketball to bring people together, to bring spotlights to inequalities and inequities?
Yeah, for sure. I think that's where they need to use that platform they have. They have a voice now a lot more than we did. I think social media plays a lot into it. I mean, just look what they were able to accomplish at in the women's bubble for the NCAA tournament. Just one TikTok. I think it was a TikTok from Sedona Prince from Oregon, just highlighting like, check out our weight room, laughable, just sparked a whole revolution and a whole, like change in how the NCAA, I think, is going to do things going forward. So I think when you have a platform like that and you can use sports to create change and create a better place for just, women in general, and then, Black people, people of color, just like to shine a light on that. I think that's amazing. I think it needs to happen more and more because I think that's where true change is going to happen.
Yeah, and I think there needs to be more men's basketball players that use their platform and voice, not necessarily saying the current generation, because the current generation, they get it. The fellas get it. These guys, they get it. I see how they move on social. I see what they're about. They get it. But it's, the ones that the little older generations, I think it'd be more, it'll have a longer lasting effect if everyone was involved. Like for what we're doing on the show is just, we're trying to provide a platform and give a voice to the women's basketball vertical as a whole. So from everything, like next week I have McDonald's All-American coming on from this year. All kind of cool stuff. Like you guys are like, oh, okay, KJ's on. But no, really. But so I'm Kobe inspired. It's not really Kobe. It's Kobe. It's it's not necessarily the right thing to do. Is like this cliche, but it's like, come on, guys, like come on, let's go. Stop. This is what are we doing here? You know what I mean? What have we been doing? But now it's time to just move it forward. Let's move the ball forward. So that's what we're doing. All right, we're gonna move off of that and try to get into a little bit of a lighter topic.
Okay.
You are married.
Yes.
To someone that I've known for a long time, 30, 35 years, 30 years.
Longer than me.
I'll say 30 years. I'll say 30 years. I just wanted to talk about how you met. Talk about what it's been like with my guy, Rome Douglas, okay?
All right. So first, how did we meet? So first, I don't know, I guess the first time we met, my roommate Carly was dating someone that Rome knew.
Okay.
Okay. And they didn't want to go out on a date like by themselves. You know, you just do the group thing in college. So
Yeah.
she invited me and he invited Rome, and we just hung out. You know, we went to, I think it was like Q's at the time in Pasadena.
Yeah.
I think it's now Barney's Beanery.
Nice.
You know, we just had a great time, but that was really like the only time we hung out. He was getting ready to go to the NFLs because he's a year ahead of me. So he was getting ready to go in the NFL. And I was, you know, in my middle of my junior season, like, you know, I'm focused. I'm not trying to go chase a guy.
Sure.
Right. So,
Sure.
you know, we kind of kept in touch like throughout the years. And then 8 years later, when he was finishing up grad school, I was finishing up grad school, he hit me up on MySpace. You remember MySpace?
Yes, of course. Of
Yeah.
course. I was heavy
So
on that.
so he, I guess the term would be DM'd me in MySpace. You know, he's like, "Hey, do you remember me?" And I'm like, "Yeah, of course I remember you." And, you know, the rest was just like, we hit it off right away and, you know, started dating again. So
no, it was awesome. I mean, when I was like, wow, I just couldn't believe it. And then I couldn't wait till you guys had kids. And now, so let's talk about how it is to be mom and / coach, if you will, because I know, or how does that work? Are you even involved in that, or did you give that to someone else because of all the drama that's associated? I know.
Yeah. It's easier, no offense to my daughters, but it's easier to coach my sons than it is to coach my daughters. And I have turned that over. I haven't ever tried to coach their teams. We do have a court in our backyard, so I'll go out and try to like give them pointers and stuff. But it doesn't always work well. There are times when I'm like, I'm out, I'm going back inside. Yeah.
People don't understand, even though that we played the game at a high level, May, people would never believe that our kids would just have such a lack of respect for our accomplishments. I mean, they wouldn't believe it. You couldn't tell them. You'd be like, "Come on, guys. No, I'm telling you, this guy doesn't believe I'm anything. He thinks I'm sorry."
He thinks I'm,
like
my kids say mom jokes like all the time. They like laugh. I'm like, "Hey, I'm a baller. Like, you got to listen to me." But no, they don't.
What's been your favorite part of parenthood, being a mom?
I guess just seeing them kind of go through all these fun things, you know, that I got to go through as a kid, you know, trying to keep my mouth shut when they're kind of, you know, letting them get their own bumps and bruises along the way. But it's been really fun for me to watch them find the love of basketball like I did. You know, we didn't put our kids in basketball initially, especially my oldest. You know, being a girl, I didn't want her to feel the pressure of like being my daughter and you know, feeling like she has to play basketball or that she has to be, you know, a certain level. And so we put her in soccer, put her in martial arts, put her in all these different things. And then finally she was like, "No, I want to play." And so then we enrolled her in like just a little rec league, and you could see like the light bulb went off, just like it did for me, like when she started playing. And so the other ones didn't, I guess, get the luxury of kind of the delayed start into basketball, but they love it too. And so that's been it's been fun to watch them grow. And I just am amazed at their skill set. Like, they dribble better than I do, you know, just because that's what they do now, you know.
They work on it. They work on it all day. We worked on buckets though.
Yeah, we did. Yeah, we did.
Come on.
We did.
Please. Okay, all that
like,
dribbling. Hey, all that dribbling, whatever. It's in the cup, okay?
Exactly.
To the tune of 2,101 points for Maylana. Is that number one on the list?
No. It's actually used to be number 2, and now it's number 3. Denise Curry's number 1.
Oh, right.
Yeah. I will say that era, and even Jordan Canada's era, she passed me her senior year too. So I'm number 3. They played more games. Yeah. So I will just say, like,
you only played 116. You only played 116 games.
Yeah, because we didn't even have a Pac-10. We didn't have a conference tournament.
That's crazy. I saw that. Yeah. I was like, she only played. How did she get? But, well, you also, your stats reminded me of when I looked at Donnie McClain's stats, where you came in with the high. You didn't average below 17.6 your whole career, I think.
Yeah. I came in my freshman year, like,
buckets.
Right away. There was like there's no seniors. So we just came in. We were like 13 and 14. We didn't win a ton of games.
Right.
and it was just a bunch of freshmen just trying to figure it out.
Yeah.
So, I
Yeah.
grabbed a lot of rebounds, scored a lot of points, got a lot of fouls. I had over like 100 fouls in my freshman year, fouled out like
Hacking.
9 times. Super
Hacking.
hack. Super hack.
Hacking.
Right?
Oh, that's dope.
Yeah.
Oh no, but I guess if you could give like parents advice that are raising kids to try to be, athletes, college athletes, or even high level high school athletes, what is the most poignant or most important piece of advice you could offer to them?
I think it's probably one that I work on myself is to try to not say as much. My mom was not an athlete,
Yeah.
and literally the only thing she would ask me after a game is, where do I want to eat? Like, 'cause she didn't know, like
Yeah.
she knew if I was putting the ball in the hole, but it didn't matter to her.
Hmm.
And so, I try to do that too. The COVID masks have actually helped a lot because like they can't see my
It's
facial
true. Yeah, no,
expressions,
that's real. That's real talk.
Yeah, so trying to keep it even keel and not get
Yeah.
like super excited when they're doing well, because there's going to come a time where they're going to play, maybe they're playing up and they're not going to do as well, but not let them feel that emotion off of you, and just be happy for them, help them on their journey, and try to stay in the moment that you're in and not try to look too far ahead.
Yeah.
So,
No, that's great because a lot of parents need to hear that. Parents need to take seminars. They need to understand that their behavior sometimes affects, their child's recruitment. Or what do you think about that as far as the psycho parent?
oh, for sure. Well, and it affects the recruitment because college coaches, they're not having you yelling and screaming and trying
Yeah.
to coach from the stands, right? But it affects the kids' confidence, and it affects
Mm,
like it makes them look silly, like if they're always
yeah.
looking over at mom or dad, when they make a shot or miss a shot, and
Yeah.
they're not just focused on the game. I think it makes it look like they're maybe a head case, or they, I don't know, just kind of put some question marks near them.
Yeah, someone said Roro Bruin says LeVar, but LeVar's different. That's just a whole nother ball game. If you got 6'6" and 6'8", guys, different rules, different strokes, different folks.
Yeah, I don't know. I
What
have
do you
mixed
think?
feelings on LeVar.
What is
I
your
think
take on
that
LeVar?
I think so. During COVID, I will say that we did go through a period of time where we like binge watched Ball in the Family. So I will put that out there. But I think that initially his hype worked, right? Like he got both kids at UCLA, he got Lonzo drafted the Lakers, like everything he was speaking out there was coming true.
Sure.
I think where he started to kind of go overboard is he needed to rein that in once they became professionals. And I think that it might have hurt Lonzo a little bit with, just how outspoken he was.
Mhm.
And then I love that LaMelo's doing so well right now, because
Oh,
like just
yeah.
watching him, he reminds me of my youngest,
Oh,
like
really?
always following in the footsteps, always trying to keep up.
Sure.
Really, like from a skill level at his age was like fantastic, but he missed. I don't know. Watching the show, I was like sad. I'm like feeling bad that he didn't get to experience the college
So
experience.
that's what Matt Barnes. So this is what Matt Barnes says. His whole thing about LaMelo, he didn't even get to go to like prom, and he didn't even experience the high school. He's over in Lithuania. Like, so you think that that's something that's really valuable then?
Oh yeah, it's so fun. I mean, high school it's you never get that time back, right? And so he's over there, and it's just a crazy country where he doesn't even speak the language. All he has is his brother, and I don't know. It's not like
Yeah.
he's even in like, I don't know, London or Paris. Like he's in like Lithuania. So,
Yeah.
I was just glad to see him, get drafted high, do so well once he did.
Yes.
He was super fun to watch. Like I've never searched for a Hornets game in my life, but now I'm like,
I
hey,
know.
where's it at? Let me
I know.
watch.
I
Yeah.
discovered their play-by-play guy. He's one of the most energetic voices in the NBA. If you hear that guy, he goes crazy. I'm like, who is this guy? He's one of my favorites. But no, one more question, May, and then it's been an awesome interview, by the way. Then I'll let you go. Um, you're an extremely accomplished player, athlete, mentor, coach. To the young players that are coming up, what is your advice to them as far as how do they achieve their goals that they set in their life?
I think especially for women, I think that we need to dream a little bigger. You know, I was thinking about the Sparks, and you know, I had talked to their PR person recently, and they were talking about, you know, how do we get more interest in the Sparks? How do we get more people at the games? And
Right.
they, you know, I guess they do really well on TV when they're on the road. You know, people
Okay.
watch them like nationally, but at home, you know, there's not a lot of people come to the games as much
Yeah.
as they probably should. And I think that we need to have young girls, like I feel like girls are more realistic, right? So they think I'm just going to get a scholarship and go to college, and then I'm going to move on with my life. And
Yeah.
you know,
No, absolutely.
whereas yeah, little boys, you have to teach them, hey buddy,
I'm thinking
you're
about the league.
5'2", you're not going to be in the NBA,
You're
right?
fine too.
Like but you can't tell a little boy anything. You can't tell them like
I
you're
know.
not going to get. They're like, whatever. I'm the next Kobe here. You know, they've got all those moves down. But girls, they could be fantastic, and they're thinking, oh yeah, I'm going to go to college. And I want them to start like just thinking, dreaming of the WNBA, dreaming of playing professional basketball, playing after college.
Yeah.
Because if you put in the work to get there and you fall short, guess what? You've gone to college and you've gotten a scholarship. But if college is your goal and you fall short, then you've missed that. And so I just feel like we need to help our girls dream bigger, because they're gonna. Girls are realistic. They're gonna do all the, you know, we follow the rules a little bit more. We're
Sure.
gonna get our stuff done, but
Sure.
I think, you know, have those dreams and don't be afraid to chase them a little bit. Is definitely something that we need to be doing more as females. So
Wonderful words. Wonderful words. Well, Maylana, thank you so much for joining the show. We're very proud of all the work you've done and that you continue to do.
thank you.
And take care. All the best to the kids, and take care of my boy Rome. Okay.
I will, and I appreciate you having me on. This was
Of
super
course.
fun.
Anytime.
And
I want you back. I mean, this is an open invitation. You come on
all
now.
right.
It's all good. You know, anytime you want to come on, let me know. And if I think about something, I might have to, you know, hopefully you're available for me. I know you're big time. So
No, not big time. Just a mom,
all right.
and a mom who cracks mom jokes.
That's big
So,
time, though. That's big time. Well, ladies and gentlemen, Maylana Martin. Thank you, man.
right. Thank
All
you,
right.
Chris.